As the only person to have signed the Declaration of Independence in 1776, Treaty of Alliance with France in 1778, Treaty of Paris in 1783, and U.S. Constitution in 1787, Benjamin Franklin is considered one of the founding fathers of the United States. His pervasive influence in the early history of the nation has led to his being jocularly called the only president of the United States who was never president of the United States. You are watching the video at Global Top Success Channel. Don't forget to click the subscribe button below to update the latest videos for free. In today's video, we will find out Benjamin Franklin from the printer boy to the first American of the United States. Poor childhood in Massachusetts.
Benjamin Franklin was born on Milk Street in Boston, Massachusetts, on January 17, 1706. As a child growing up along the Charles River, Franklin recalled that he was generally the leader among the boys. He was the 15th son and youngest child in a family of 17 children. Benjamin's ancestors lived in England. Only Benjamin's father, Josiah, moved to the United States. Josiah had 5 children with his wife and 12 more children with his second wife. Out of love for his brother Benjamin, he gave his youngest son this name. Franklin's father wanted him to attend school with the clergy, but only had enough money to send him to school for 2 years. He attended Boston Latin School but did not graduate. He continued his education through voracious reading. From an early age, Benjamin loved to read. Whenever he met any book, he mulled over it, what money was saved, and then bought books to read. He worked for his father for a time, and at 12 he became an apprentice to his brother James, a printer, who taught him the printing trade. Thanks to this profession, Benjamin had the opportunity to read more books. The books he brought to print or close were all he read, sometimes staying up all night to do it. Benjamin taught himself many subjects such as algebra, geometry, logical grammar, physics and natural sciences.
Becoming a newspaper man.
When Benjamin was 15, James founded the New England Courant, which was one of the first American newspapers. In those days, intellectuals often wrote articles, but signed them differently for fear of making it difficult for the government. Benjamin also wanted to write articles, but he was afraid that if he signed it, James would throw it in the trash. He wrote under the pseudonym Silence Dogged and waited until the night to throw cards through the printing house window. The next morning, James received the paper, which was also quite distinctive, so it was printed. Many times, Benjamin even heard him and his friends praising the articles in front of him. They firmly believed that the articles must be written by a talented scholar. Benjamin still had to hold back his laughter. After all, unable to keep it a secret anymore, he had to confess that he was the author of the above articles. When his brother was jailed for 3 weeks in 1722 for publishing material unflattering to the governor, young Franklin took over the newspaper and had Mrs. Dogged, quoting Cato's letters, proclaim, "Without freedom of thought there can be no such thing as wisdom and no such thing as public liberty without freedom of speech." Franklin left his apprenticeship without his brother's permission, and in so doing became a fugitive. At age 17, Franklin ran away to Philadelphia, seeking a new start in a new city. When he first arrived, he worked in several printer shops around town, but he was not satisfied by the immediate prospects. After a few months, while working in a printing house, Pennsylvania Governor Sir William Keith convinced him to go to London, ostensibly to acquire the equipment necessary for establishing another newspaper in Philadelphia. Discovering that Keith's promises of backing a newspaper were empty, he worked as a typesetter in a printer's shop in what is now the Church of St. Bartholomew the Great in the Smithfield area of London. Following this, he returned to Philadelphia in 1726 with the help of Thomas Denham, a merchant who employed him as a clerk, shopkeeper, and bookkeeper in his business. Reading is still a hobby, and he thinks that a person can only read a certain number of books. How beneficial it would be if those who were fond of learning would get together, exchange books, and discuss together. Benjamin immediately founded the Junto Club, where members took turns giving lectures on moral, political, and scientific issues. At the age of 22, Benjamin stopped working for Mr. Keimer and opened his own printing house. At that time, banknotes were scarce, and people were afraid that if they printed more, the currency would depreciate. And if there is no printing, the economic situation is not developed. Benjamin immediately brought this matter to the junto members, and then in a book entitled The Nature and Necessity of Banknotes. This made the city parliament decide to print more money, and they gave Benjamin the job. In 1728, he set up a printing house in partnership with Hugh Meredith. The following year he became the publisher of a newspaper called the Pennsylvania Gazette. Through his newspaper, Benjamin made known to the public many projects to improve the public good. The Philadelphia newspaper survived from 1729 to 1766. He also wrote the book, The Way to Wealth. This book also has a special economic value. At the age of 27, Benjamin felt the need to know more foreign languages to easily empathize with other peoples. He began to learn French, Italian and Spanish. At the age of 30, thanks to everyone's trust, Benjamin was elected Secretary of the Pennsylvania House of Representatives, the city of Philadelphia, which was increasingly expanding without a team of firefighters. Benjamin Franklin created the Union Fire Company, one of the first volunteer firefighting companies in America. In the same year, Benjamin was nominated as Postmaster of Philadelphia. His efficient way of working attracted the attention of the British government, so later, in 1753, he became Deputy General Postmaster of all the colonies of North America. Benjamin greatly improved the postal service, increasing the speed of mail by using the fastest ships across the Atlantic Ocean. For regional mail, he employed horsemen to deliver mail day and night. Benjamin also helped Canada establish the first postal service. In 1743, because the junto was underdeveloped, Benjamin proposed the establishment of the American Philosophical Society, made up of moral and knowledgeable people from various colonies in North America. This association built and operated according to the style of the Royal Scientific Society of Great Britain, and Benjamin was elected as its secretary. Many people have applied to join, and they communicated mainly by mail, and the headquarters of the association is located in Philadelphia.
Breakthrough scientific inventions.
Franklin was a prodigious inventor. Among his many creations were the lightning rod, Franklin stove, bifocal glasses and the flexible urinary catheter. He never patented his inventions. In his autobiography he wrote, "As we enjoy great advantages from the inventions of others, we should be glad of an opportunity to serve others by any invention of ours, and this we should do freely and generously." Electricity. Franklin started exploring the phenomenon of electricity in 1746 when he saw some of Archibald Spencer's lectures using static electricity for illustrations. He proposed that vitreous and resinous electricity were not different types of electrical fluid, as electricity was called then, but the same fluid under different pressures. The same proposal was made independently that same year by William Watson. He was the first to label them as positive and negative respectively, and he was the first to discover the principle of conservation of charge. In 1748, he constructed a multiple plate capacitor, that he called an electrical battery, not a true battery like Volta's pile, by placing 11 panes of glass sandwiched between lead plates, suspended with silk cords and connected by wires. Kite experiment and lightning rod. Franklin published a proposal for an experiment to prove that lightning is electricity by flying a kite in a storm. On May 10, 1752, Thomas François Dalibard of France conducted Franklin's experiment using a 40-foot tall, 12 meters, iron rod instead of a kite, and he extracted electrical sparks from a cloud. On June 15, 1752, Franklin may possibly have conducted his well-known kite experiment in Philadelphia, successfully extracting sparks from a cloud. Franklin's electrical experiments led to his invention of the lightning rod. He surmised that this could help protect buildings from lightning by attaching upright rods of iron, made sharp as a needle and gilt to prevent rusting, and from the foot of those rods a wire down the outside of the building into the ground. Would not these pointed rods probably draw the electrical fire silently out of a cloud before it came nigh enough to strike, and thereby secure us from that most sudden and terrible mischief? Oceanography. As deputy postmaster, Franklin became interested in North Atlantic Ocean circulation patterns. While in England in 1768, he heard a complaint from the Colonial Board of Customs. Why did it take British packet ships carrying mail several weeks longer to reach New York than it took an average merchant ship to reach Newport, Rhode Island? The merchantmen had a longer and more complex voyage because they left from London, while the packets left from Falmouth in Cornwall. Franklin put the question to his cousin Timothy Folger, a Nantucket whaler captain, who told him that merchant ships routinely avoided a strong eastbound mid-ocean current. The mail packet captains sailed dead into it, thus fighting an adverse current of 3 miles per hour, 5 kilometers per hour. Franklin worked with Folger and other experienced ship captains, learning enough to chart the current and name it the Gulf Stream, by which it is still known today.
Great American Diplomat.
In October 1748, he was selected as a councilman. In June 1749, he became a justice of the peace for Philadelphia, and in 1751, he was elected to the Pennsylvania Assembly. On August 10, 1753, he was appointed Deputy Postmaster General of British North America. His most notable service in domestic politics was his reform of the postal system, with mail sent out every week. In 1754, he headed the Pennsylvania delegation to the Albany Congress. This meeting of several colonies had been requested by the Board of Trade in England to improve relations with the Indians and defense against the French. Franklin proposed a broad plan of union for the colonies. While the plan was not adopted, elements of it found their way into the Articles of Confederation and the Constitution. In 1756, Franklin organized the Pennsylvania Militia. He used Tun Tavern as a gathering place to recruit a regiment of soldiers to go into battle against the Native American uprisings that beset the American colonies. In 1763, shortly after Franklin returned to Pennsylvania, the western border of the state was struck by a fierce war known as the Pontiac Rebellion. The Paxton Boys, a group of settlers who believed the Pennsylvania government was not doing enough to protect them from Indian plunder, killed a group of peaceful Indians and then entered Philadelphia. Franklin helped organize a local guerrilla force to defend the capital city from the mob, and later met with the Paxton leaders and persuaded them to disband. In 1764, Franklin was sent to England as a colonial envoy, this time on the recommendation of King George III to create a central British control committee in Pennsylvania, separate from the priority heirs. During this time he also became a colonial envoy to Georgia, New Jersey and Massachusetts. In London, he vehemently opposed the Stamp Act, despite accusations from various factions in the US that he was involved in its making. His opposition to the Stamp Law, and later to the Townshend Law of 1767, led to the end of his dream of becoming an official in the British government and his alliance with pro-independence factions of the colony. In June 1776, he was appointed a member of the Committee of Five that drafted the Declaration of Independence. Although he was temporarily disabled by gout and unable to attend most meetings of the committee, citation needed, he made several, small but important, changes to the draft sent to him by Thomas Jefferson. On October 26, 1776, Franklin was dispatched to France as commissioner for the United States. Franklin remained in France until 1785. He conducted the affairs of his country toward the French nation with great success, which included securing a critical military alliance in 1778 and signing the 1783 Treaty of Paris.
The founder was respected all over the world.
In June 1776, he was appointed a member of the Committee of Five that drafted the Declaration of Independence. Although he was temporarily disabled by gout and unable to attend most meetings of the committee, citation needed, he made several, small but important, changes to the draft sent to him by Thomas Jefferson. In 1785, Benjamin Franklin returned to Philadelphia and was appointed president of this city council again, elected governor of Pennsylvania. He was re-elected to the office in 1786 and 1787. In addition, Franklin was also instrumental in opposing the effective regime in the Americas. In 1787, Pennsylvania nominated Benjamin Franklin, then 81 years old, to the Constitutional Convention. Delegates met at Independence Street and drafted the U.S. Constitution. At this time, Franklin was the oldest delegate to the convention. Poor health and advanced age did not allow him to actively participate in activities, but wisdom and knowledge helped to get the convention going. Celebrating the Constitutional Convention was his last public service, but despite his age, he was still interested in national affairs. He was delighted to see George Washington take office as the first president of the United States. Benjamin Franklin died from pleuritic attack at his home in Philadelphia on April 17, 1790. He was aged 84 at the time of his death. Approximately 20,000 people attended his funeral. He was interred in Christ Church Burial Ground in Philadelphia. Upon learning of his death, the Constitutional Assembly in revolutionary France entered into a state of mourning for a period of 3 days, and memorial services were conducted in honor of Franklin throughout the country, and the U.S. Congress decided to mourn him for a month to pay respects to a citizen who has made great contributions to the country, to science, with freedom and with humanity. People called him the first American and put his picture on the $100 bill.
Thank you for watching the video at Global Top Success Channel. Don't forget to click the subscribe button below to support the group.